Hey everybody, this is Chip from Squatchy Games, and I'm here to teach you how to play Cryptid Cafe. So let's get seated. First, let's begin by looking at the components of the game, starting with the Kraken Chef board. This is where you're going to send your Sasquatch servers to collect the delectable menu items from the Kraken Chef. We have the Espresso, the Cinnamon Monster Roll, the Hot Apple Spider, the Blt Sandwich, and the Alboniga Soup. Below each one of these sections are 3 spaces that are numbered. When you place your server in a space, that's how many of a particular token you'll receive. In this case, the red server would receive 3 Espresso tokens. There is a bit more to this, but we're going to cover that in the next phases. For now, let's move on to the player board. The player board has 4 distinct areas on it. The satisfaction tracker across the top, which is where you'll track your customer's satisfaction level, with the green being the most satisfied and the red or right side of the board being the least satisfied. Below the tracker is your server tray. This is where you're going to keep any tips and coins that you received, as well as any food tokens that you may have earned from the Kraken Chef. To the left of the board is where you'll place successfully served customers. And to the right of the server tray is where any customers that you failed to serve will walk out. Excellent. Let's move on to what makes a Cryptid customer card. Cryptid customer cards have 3 unique elements about them. The top is their order. You'll see which particular menu items they want and the quantity of each of those menu items that you need in order to serve this particular customer. The Mothman in this case would like 4 hot apple spiders. Assuming I have those tokens, the Mothman will pay me, using the bottom of the card, their tip scale. So if the Mothman was on the green zone of the server board, he would serve me 3 coins, or pay me 3 coins. If he was on the orange zone, he'd pay me 1. You'll also notice that there's one spot that's darkened out. This is the penalty for not serving the Mothman when he comes to the restaurant. At the end of the game, if the Mothman is in the walkout zone, walkout area, I will lose 1 coin for my final tally. The next part of the cards is determining whether or not they're an air, land, or water card. And this is used for the set collection component of the game that we'll talk about later. In this case, the Mothman has a purple wood texture along the bottom of the card and a swirl icon at the top of the card. This shows that the Mothman is an air cryptid. The Bunyip has a blue textured wood pattern at the bottom and water waves at the top in the icon area, and shows that the Bunyip is a water-based cryptid. And as you guessed it, the Grafton Monster with the brown wood texture at the bottom and the mountain-like icon at the top is a land cryptid. Alright, so that's the Cryptid customer cards. Let's take a look at a few more cards before we get into the setup and gameplay. The first card is the event card, the manager card, and the I'll have what they're having card. Let's start with the event card. Event cards are added to the Cryptid customer decks at the beginning of the game. They'll be randomly drawn throughout the game. In this case, there's no Blt Sandwiches this round. So this card would be placed on the Kraken Chef board, signifying that no servers can be placed there. In the event, pun intended, that multiple event cards are drawn, the event card that is closest to player 1 or player 1 will be the active event card. All other event cards will be discarded. Let's move on to the manager card. The manager card is going to allow me to swap spaces between 2 of my active customers. In this example, I have the Mothman on the green area, and I have the Grafton Monster at the end. Let's assume that I have enough food to feed the Grafton Monster. If I serve him in this spot, I'll only get 2 coins. By using my manager card, which is a one-time only used card for the entire game, I can switch locations with any other cryptid on my board. In this case, I'm going to switch him with the Mothman. Now, when I serve the Grafton Monster, he'll be worth 6 coins rather than the 2. Next is the I'll have what they're having card. This card is going to allow me to serve one of my Cryptid customers the order of another player's Cryptid customer. So taking a look at this Bunyip, who requires 2 Blt Sandwiches, 3 Alboniga Soups, and 3 Hot Apple Spiders. Let's assume that I don't have those tokens available to me. But it turns out I do have the tokens that the Thunderbird has, which is 3 Alboniga Soups, 2 Cinnamon Monster Rolls, 3 Hot Apple Spiders, and 1 Espresso. I can play the I'll have what they're having card, another one-time only card for the entire game, and serve the Bunyip the order that the Thunderbird wanted. In doing so, I get to collect the tip based off the Thunderbird's location, not the Bunyip's. So, in this case, my best case scenario for the Bunyip would have been 3 tokens, or 3 coins, since he was in the orange area. But by serving him the Thunderbird's order, I'm going to earn 6 coins for completing that order. The Bunyip would then move to the normal serve spot. We do not touch the Thunderbird card. And that's it for the additional cards. Now let's get into game setup. All right, let's move on to the setup portion of learning how to play Cryptid Cafe. The Kraken chef board should be placed in the middle of the table within reach of all the players, as well as the resource tokens and coin tokens. Each player should have a player server board with matching Cryptid customer deck and server meeples. We also start with 5 coins per player. Each player will also get a manager card and an I'll have what they're having card. Finally, it's time to add the event cards to the Cryptid customer decks. We do this by shuffling up the event cards and adding 2 cards to the Cryptid customer deck, then shuffling up that deck, discarding the rest of the event cards. Now that we've got the game set up, let's move on to phase 1, sending out the servers. Each player is going to send out servers to the Kraken chef board in order to collect the menu items they need for their customers. But right now, we don't have any customers. Let's fix that. To place your customers, we're going to backfill the green spaces. So we're going to move a customer and place it to the furthest green spot and then backfill each location behind it. All right. Okay, the green player is going to be our first player. Let's take a look at what customers he has. Currently has the Loch Ness Monster, which needs 2 Blt Sandwiches, 2 Alboniga Soups, and 2 Hot Apple Spiders. And he also has the Wendigo, which needs 3 Blt Sandwiches, 1 Cinnamon Roll, and 1 Espresso. So, it seems like he needs a lot of the Blt Sandwiches, so we're going to send him out to the 1 spot. And we're going to cover this in the next phase on why I chose this. Let's move on to the red player. The red player also needs some Blt Sandwiches, some more soups, and some Hot Apple Spiders. More Blt Sandwiches and 2 Espressos. Blt Sandwiches are very popular. The red player is going to go there. The blue player has a Sea Serpent who hasn't been drawn yet, and we have 2 Alboniga Soups, 1 Cinnamon Roll, and 2 Hot Apple Spiders, and then 4 Hot Apple Spiders. All right, blue player is going to go for Hot Apple Spiders, and they're going to go into 1 spot as well. Back to the green player. Let's see if we can try and snag some of those soups that we need. We'll go here. And the red player is also going to need some soups. We're going to go up here. Oops, right there. And the blue player. Now, the blue player would definitely like some more Hot Apple Spiders, but you're only allowed to go to 1 station during the round. So he can't go back to the Hot Apple Spider station. So he instead is going to try and grab that Cinnamon Roll that he needs. And the green player also needs a Cinnamon Roll. Let's see, we've got soup taken care of. Actually, this green player is going to try and get some Hot Apple Spiders, but only needs 2, so he's going to go there. And the red player here decides that, let's see, where are they at? They're at the soup so far. They are going to grab some Espressos, and they're going to grab 3 of them, potentially. And finally, the blue player would like to grab, let's see, I guess they're going to grab some no, they can't get that. They're going to get some soups as well, so they'll go to the 1 spot for the soups. Excellent. This technically is the end of phase 1. No food items are collected at this time. That is the next phase. Now that we've got the servers placed on the Kraken Chef board, it's time to move on to phase 2, the tip sharing and food collection phase. During this phase, you as a player will be able to share your tips with the Kraken Chef in order to move your servers up in line and gain additional resources. There are a few rules that surround that. Your server must be the last person in line, not the last position on the Kraken chef board. They also must have someone in front of them in order to move up in front of the line. And finally, they can only move up in line at one station per round. So let's see how that affects this round of servers. The red server here is the front of the line, and they're just going to collect the 3 espresso tokens. The blue server is the last person in line at the Cinnamon Monster roll station, but unfortunately has no one in front of them, and so they cannot move up. They'll just collect 1 Cinnamon Monster roll. We now move over to the Hot Apple Spider station. The blue player, is last in line again, and they do need a lot of Hot Apple Spider, so they are going to pay 1 token, 1 coin, to the Kraken chef and move up 1 position. So the green player will slide back 1 spot, and the blue player will go there. And the blue player will now get 3 Hot Apple Spiders, and the green player will get 2 Hot Apple Spiders. Okay. Now, let's move over to the BLT sandwiches. The green player, as I mentioned earlier, decided to go to the 1 spot, and this is because they knew they needed to get as many BLT sandwiches as possible. So they are going to pay the Kraken chef 2 coins to move all the way to the front of the line. This will push the red player back 1 spot, and the green player will take the 3 spot. The servers are not swapped, they just get pushed back. So now the green player gets 3 BLTE sandwiches, and the red player gets 2 BLTE sandwiches. Let's move to the last station. The last station is the Alboniga Soup. If you recall, the blue player already moved up in position at the Hot Apple Spider station. So the blue player cannot, even though they're last in line, move up again. So everyone just gets served based off of their current position. So the red player will get 3 Alboniga Soups. The blue player will get 2. I think that's 2. 1, 2. What did I get here? 1? Nope. A couple more. 2 and 3. And then the blue player will get 1 Alboniga Soup. And that is the end of phase 2. Tip sharing, and food collection. Now that the food has been collected, it's time to start serving our cryptid customers. This is done in turn order, starting with player 1. However, if someone were to play the I'll have what they're having card, they get to serve that particular customer before the player 1. And in the event of multiple I'll have what they're having cards being played, those are resolved in turn order as well. For our purposes, no one is going to be playing that card at this time, so we can begin with the green player, who was our first customer. Looking at their customers, they had the Wendigo, and they had the Loch Ness Monster. Green player has done well and has gotten enough food to serve the Loch Ness Monster. 2 Hot Apple Spiders. It looks like 2 of the Alboniga Soups. And they only need 2 of the BLTE sandwiches. Fantastic. So we'll put those back in the trays that they belong to. And we will serve the Loch Ness Monster. Now the Loch Ness Monster is at the green location, so it's going to leave a $4 tip for the green player. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the Loch Ness Monster will now move to the served location. You can serve multiple monsters on your turn, multiple cryptids on your turn, if you have enough food to do so. The green player does not at this time. So let's move on to player 2. Player 2 did not get enough food this round to serve any of their cryptids, so they're going to move on. We move to player 3, who is the blue player, and they too did not collect enough food this round to serve their customers. We now move on to phase 4, the cleanup phase. During this phase, you as a player have a choice of moving all of your customers 1 space to the right or 2 spaces to the right. It's up to you. The green player has decided that they want to move the Wendigo 2 spaces. They will now backfill the empty spaces with new customers. The red player would like to only move their customers over 1 space and backfill just the 1 green space. Same with the blue player. They will move their customers 1 and backfill the 1 space. All servers are taken back, and we move on to round 2. With the first round done, it's now time to move on to round 2. Pass the first player marker to the left and begin sending out servers. Let's continue where we left off. Now we have red player being the first player. They currently have 2 Blt Sandwiches, 1 Espresso, and 3 Alboniga Soups. It looks like they're trying to get the Grafton Monster served. Let's see what we can do here. Grafton Monster needs 3 Blt Sandwiches, 2 Alboniga Soups, 2 hot apple spiders, and 1 espresso. So let's see if we can get some hot apple spiders for the red server. Blue server is going to try and finish off that Mothman and also get some hot apple spiders and move to the 3 spot. The green server has got a new customer, the Jackalope, which is 2 Blt Sandwiches, 2 espressos, and the Yeti, with quite the large order of 4 Alboniga Soups, 3 Cinnamon Monster Rolls, 1 hot apple spider, and 2 espressos. All right. Currently, they only have 1 Blt Sandwiches, and it looks like they're going to need some more. So they are going to move to the 1 spot like they did in round 1 to try and maximize the Blt Sandwiches through tips. Okay, I'm going to continue to play this round out. Okay, now that we've finished round 3, let's take a look at what happens when we see some of the cryptid creatures getting ready to walk out. Again, cleanup phase, everyone's going to pull back their servers. We'll discard the event card. And we will then move our customers down the satisfaction tracker. Now, you probably noticed I purposely didn't serve the Loch Ness Monster on the red card, on the red player, because I wanted you to see what happens when the Cryptid walks out. Okay. So again, all the cryptid creatures move down 1 or 2 spaces depending on what you would like to choose as a player. In this case, for the red player, they didn't get it served, so this cryptid customer is going to go to the walkout section, and they'll be worth -1 point at the end of the game. So you'll lose 1 of your coins. Everyone else continues to move down 1. another event card. So you can see how this plays, and this continues on. In a 3-player game, this would be for 9 rounds. In a 2-player game, this would be a 2 or 4-player game. This would be for 8 rounds. At the end of the game, you're going to tally up all of the tips that you received and subtract any walkout customers that you have, and then 1 coin for each pair of food that you have. So, assuming this is the end of the game, let's go ahead and see who would have won this one. The green player has a total of, let's see, 5, 7, 8, 9, what is this? Green player has a total of 15 coins. They had no walkouts, but they do have 1, 2. They're going to lose 2 coins for having 4 pieces of food, so they're going to lose 2 coins for that. The red player, they have a total of 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 points. They do have a walkout, so they're going to lose 1 point for the walkout. And then they have 3, 8, 9, 10. They have 10 leftover food. Again, I just kind of fast forwarded. So they're going to lose 5 coins, and they're going to have a final score of 5, 6, 8. Their score is 8. The blue player, they have 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. They have no walkouts, and they have 4 pieces of food, so they're going to lose 2 points for that. And their final score is now 10 points. All right, so green player wins with 13 points in this scenario, and the red player finished with 8. If it had been a full game, there would have been the likelihood for set collection. And this goes back to the air, land, and water cryptid types. For all the customers that you serve, let's look at the red player. They served 1 air, 1 water, and 1 land. Had they had 3 of one type, they would have gotten a bonus 3 points. And then for each additional of that type, they would have gotten 1 more. So if they had had 4 air cryptids served, they would have gotten 3 for the initial and then 1 for each additional after, and would have scored 4 bonus points, which would have gave them a total of 12 points. So that's how the set collection works. You can do multiple sets. So if I had like 3 air cryptids and then I had 3 land cryptids, then that would be a bonus of 6 points, and so forth. So that kind of makes you think about which cryptids you want to serve that are on your board in hopes of creating a set and earning those bonus points at the end of the game. That should do it for Cryptid Cafe. Let me know if you have any questions or if I missed anything that you think I should have covered. I'll be happy to answer them in the comments. And I thank you for your time for watching, and I look forward to playing this game at the table. Also, if anybody's interested in playing this tabletop simulator version of Cryptid Cafe with me, please send me an email at info@squatchygames.com. I'd love to set up a time and play with you and show you what it's like to do a full game. Thanks again. Bye-bye.